Welcome to the Brattlecast. We talk about books, old, rare, and out of print. Today we're going to take a little deviation. This is Jordan, and I'm with, of course, Ken Gloss, the proprietor of the famous Brattle Bookshop in Boston. I say diversion or deviation because the books you have brought into the studio to share with me and the audience look relatively fresh and crisp and new.
Well, then, some of them are absolutely new.
Okay.
Some of them are new books on copies of old books that reprinted. Mm-hmm. But it definitely was something that really is a little out of our normal buying pattern. And we go out to houses all the time. I think in one of our recent podcasts, I talked about going to Albany and buying 30,000 old books.
Oh, yes.
I've actually recently gotten calls from Tennessee, from Michigan, about old and rare book collections. But almost always when we're buying collections like that, whether it's one book, 1,000 books, 30,000 books, they're mostly all different. In other words, someone collected them, they got them one at a time or a group, but they're not the same book. And it's very out of our normal pattern to buy books that are essentially new in multiple copies. But we got a call recently from a man who ran and started a publishing company called Applewood Books. And he recently sold the company, and his offices were in the Boston area and the publishing was in the Boston area, but the company he sold to wasn't. And he had about 4,000 to 5,000 books, actually maybe even a little more, in the Boston area. And they didn't want to transport them. Mm-hmm. They were buying more the rights to the books and so on. So they didn't want them. And he called us in. Actually, a friend had recommended us and said, would you be interested? And I looked at them and I said, they're interesting books, but we're not used to buying 20 copies of this and 50 copies of that. And we're not used to having brand new books. People come into us and they're buying older books. Right. That's the whole idea. But then I started looking, and some of the things they reprinted, like Poor Richard's Almanac in 1733, or the first Girl Scout manual. But the other thing that he printed that I found fascinating was little books, maybe 20, 25 pages, with little excerpts of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. He also did ones of people, quotations from John Kennedy, from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And, I sort of said to myself, Benjamin Franklin. Yeah. We usually don't deal in this. We usually don't deal in multiples. But why not? Why not try it? I mean,
throw caution to the wind and have a little fun.
Have a little fun. It was we got like 3 truckloads out.
Wow.
First we negotiated a low price, and he wasn't particularly thrilled. But then the more I looked at it, and the more I said to myself, how bad can we do with this? How off can we go? And maybe there are things that people will like. And now, one of the things that's definitely happened, I've mentioned this before, is at the store we've been getting in more and more tourists. And he pointed out that a lot of the books he sells to like history museums. And they're in the gift shop. Of course, as you exit, you go to the gift shop.
Absolutely.
And there are these little books. And he was sort of convincing me. And then I finally said, okay, I'll meet your price. I'll buy them. We'll do all the work. And I even said to him, well, one of the unusual things for us is when you have 20 and 30, 40 copies of a book, usually in our store, we put one out, we sell it, that's it. But we have to store the other copies of the books. And we're not used to like restocking, resupplying, even saying, okay, now where do we put them? But we got them a couple of weeks ago. The original cover price on these books was $10. And, they made perfectly good for gifts. But we were able to say, okay, they're $5 each. You can buy 3 for $10. We put them up near the front of our store, sort of as you put the candy at the supermarket or the convenience store. They've kept people eye. In the last week or so, people have been buying them. They're bargains. The other thing that he told us that he used to do is he would get people coming in and buying 20 or 30 copies of the same book because they were having a convention, they're having people in town, they wanted to give the same, they didn't want to give different books to
Well,
people.
I would imagine businesses, business owners, corporations, things like that want to make a gift to the staff. They want to make sure it's equanimous.
Or
equal.
exactly, or to the convention coming in with 30 or 40 people.
Makes sense.
And so we actually realized once we got them in and people started looking at them that they've been selling well. And it's like, gee, maybe I need more publishers not to go out of business, but just move and then sell their backstock.
What it says to me is that you're always, with eyes open and ears open, ready for a new adventure, and you didn't see this one coming, but you've turned it into a win.
Well, we've turned it in. Well, it's still to be seen, but I'm sure it's going to work out well.
It's on the winning track.
It's on the winning track. Probably the difference in this one is more is going to have to go in. We're going to have to store for a while in the back and make sure to keep resupplying, which is not our usual job. But also, it's just fun because a lot of them fit very well with the stock, like the Girl Scout Handbook reprinted.
I think the quotes too are fun because people love to have a little book of quotes that they can whip out every once in a while and challenge people with.
Well, the other thing that we've found too is at the price of 3 for $10, we have been getting way, way more tourists coming into the store, which is fabulous because they're driving a lot of the business after the pandemic with the offices still not being full. But we're finding people want to buy something. And at $5 or 3 for $10, and it's new, it's not, oh, wait a minute, our outside tables are $1, 3, and 5. But they're old books, which people aren't used to buying necessarily old books, although they like them, and that's great, but you got to look a little harder. At the checkout, when they see these, it's like, oh, we can get something.
So what's the deal again? Run down the offer one more time.
Well, and these,
currently.
the very small ones, they're list price of $10, they're $5, 3 for $10, and actually we've been finding, I know what's going to happen with this. I didn't finish the sentence up, but I know what's going to happen is a few months from now, I'm going, why aren't there more of these? Why can't I do this again?
Attention, all publishers going out of business.
Well, or publishers selling out and just not wanting
There
to
you
move
go.
the stock to them. The man who sold it to us was great. He obviously had a great idea on the tourist business because he had done well over the years. But it really made me realize that new books are really good too. Multiple copies can work depending on what they are. And our customers are not just, they're coming in looking for interesting things, not just the old and the rare, although we definitely have that, which most places don't.
Well, we know that based on 185 podcasts, most of which have been talking about that. Fabulous story. I'm so glad it's working out, and there's so many reasons to visit when you come to Boston, the Brattle Bookshop, or go to brattlebookshop.com and start perusing the website, and there's so much to see and do. Ken, as always, thank you, and congratulations on a new venture.
Well, it's fun, and that's the main thing. The doing something different keeps everybody's interest, not only just mine, but the rest of the people at work like it, the customers who come in like it. People like to see change. They fear it in many ways, but they like it, and if things don't change, that's bad too. So we're going to try things.